After waiting for so long and after actually playing this game, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? The Kingdom Hearts series has never been known for having good writing, but this game in particular has a lot of things wrong with it. As you can probably tell, I will be talking about the story of this game, which yes, means there will be spoilers in this video. Honestly, I don't know what you expected given this title. The gameplay is fine, that needs no fixing. Anyway, let's get started. The game actually starts out without any issues. The opening mirrors the start of Kingdom Hearts 1 in a somewhat decent way, and while it's a little in your face about it, it works. Of course, there is some time spent recapping important plot points from previous games. Again, not something I can really complain about at all. And then even going to Olympus also makes sense. Sora has lost a significant part of his powers and needs to regain it. Herc tells him he can't really help Sora with that, and so Sora has to deal with this problem on his own. I wouldn't change much about this, because this makes sense for Sora's character and he needs an arc during this game, but as it is, Sora getting his powers back doesn't feel earned, or in some ways, you can't even tell the difference between him having this power and him not having it in a narrative way. Even Xigbar showing up and leading Sora down the path to find Roxas is totally fair game. The only thing I would change here is not having Pete and Maleficent show up so early. Just like in Kingdom Hearts 2, they don't really do anything, and while I don't mind it in this case because they deliver setup for Kingdom Hearts 4, or whatever it'll be called, I think having them show up in the first cutscene of the first Disney World doesn't make a lot of sense. Still, going into Twilight Town, there is little to be changed. The story develops well and there's nothing wrong with the pacing of the game quite yet. You see Riku and Mickey go to the Realm of Darkness and fail to rescue or even locate Aqua. But then instead of going back, they decide to go to Radiant Garden, for no reason other than the fact that they can't find Aqua too early because that would ruin the story of the game. Well, hear me out here. I would have them upgrade their Keyblades, but then go right back into the Realm of Darkness. To keep Riku from being overused, however, I wouldn't have them show up in a cutscene between Twilight Town and Toy Box. Sora wouldn't be able to contact them and talk about Terra or the Replicas, but I'll get to that later. The training with Lee and Kairi would still be there, but I would add some gameplay, even if it's just a single sparring match or against some magical creatures Merlin provided. This is the perfect example of show, don't tell. We get told Lee and Kairi train, but we never see it, and then when the time comes, we don't get to see them use that training, making us believe even less in this supposed training they have done. After this is where I start to develop more and more issues with this game, however. In the Toy Box world, things are being divided into a Disney portion and then a single appearance of an organization member for each world. Which is mostly how Kingdom Hearts 2 did things, but in that game, organization members actually influence the story inside the Disney worlds, and while that is the case in some worlds, like in the Toy Box where Xehanort splits the world into two, like Traverse Town was in Dream Drop Distance, it doesn't really have any relevance to the larger story. And then in the Kingdom of Corona, Marluxia just shows up and talks to Sora for a bit and doesn't really do anything. That world is just literally the movie. But I can live with those worlds. Toy Story is about placing hearts inside non-living things, and even though young Xehanort, as we see him, already is a heart inside of a replica, so they already know how to do it, you could make an argument that trying to do research to make Xion a thing again, or they're trying to improve the replicas. Personally, I would show how the vessels the organization is using now are not quite perfect, which could lead to young Xehanort not being able to use his Keyblade, for instance. And that is the reason they're trying to improve the vessel so they can actually become fully human. Corona sets up the new 7 Hearts, which is the most stupid retcon ever, but I do understand Disney wanted Kingdom Hearts to market their newer movies instead of the classical movies we already all know. But they don't even show us these new lights. There is Rapunzel, of course, and Elsa and Anna and probably Kairi, which means we're still missing 3 of them. And how is Kairi still a Princess of Heart while at least 3 others have changed? How does a pure light even change from one heart to the next? I think having a short bit of gameplay in the Realm of Darkness between the Toy Box and the Kingdom of Corona, where you find one of the princesses' worlds in the Realm of Darkness, would explain this all perfectly. Some of the princesses fell to darkness within their worlds, and the light inside them found a new home inside another heart. This way, it at least makes a little bit more sense. The whole cutscene about Avon disappearing and the worries about the organization being able to use replicas because of that should stay for sure. This is the moment Riku could realize that they too could use replicas to bring back Roxas and Naminé. Maybe even get Sora on the phone if you really feel like including Sora for this conversation. The scene could play out in a number of different ways, with or without Sora, but in the end, it doesn't really matter. It adds emotion to Replica subplots. Next up we would go to Monstropolis, which plays out mostly the same way. Vanitas manipulating Arendelle is exactly the kind of interaction I want to see between Disney characters and the organization. And this is the point where Sora realizes there is an other heart trapped within him, leading him not to Arendelle next, but back to Yan Sid. Maybe have Mickey and Riku come back too for some planning, and it's decided they go to the realm of darkness with Mickey and Riku. Sora might not have the power of waking yet at this point, but it turns out in the actual game, he didn't even need that to save Aqua, and his battle strength is pretty much back to normal at this point. This is also a good place to put the Twilight Town cutscenes where Ansem the Wise gets saved from Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, by Vexen, which wants to atone for his deeds. It's right in between the setup for the Replica subplot, which Vexen is an important part of, and the Aqua saving part, which Ansem the Wise is, well, he's part of it. This would get you yet another visit to the realm of darkness as an actual world, with Riku and Mickey as your party members. I think Donald and Goofy would stay behind, much like they did in the original game, but since we now have plenty of party slots, they could join us in this world too. You save Aqua in much the same way, just not playing as Riku during the first part of it, and actually use Master Ericus' Keyblade in this fight, and then head to Castle Oblivion. Unlike in the actual game though, this too is a real world. Maybe not as long as the Disney worlds, the same goes for the Realm of Darkness actually. They could have both been about half the length of a world, so together they make up the total length of an actual world. This is where Sora feels uneasy, because he's been there before, but doesn't remember. He has to confront himself, maybe even fight a Shadow Sora in the Station of Awakening, which ends up both unlocking his memories of his time in the castle, which may or may not make sense depending on how it's explained and retconned. But more importantly, this is how he obtains the power of Awakening, which comes into play when you reach the top of the castle and Aqua opens the door to the Chamber of Awakening, which is now open. From here the events in the Land of Departure and the fight against Vanitas play out mostly the same way. Aqua fights Vanitas while Sora wakes Van, and they're ready to go to the big battle. But I might hear you say, you skipped literally 3 worlds. Don't worry, I'll get to that. For now, let's just head to the Keyblade Graveyard, where we don't include the scene where everyone dies just so we can put it in the trailer, and Lingering Whale doesn't show up just because it's a cool shot, again, just for the trailer. No, instead we play the fight against Xion and Saïx, with everything going on there. The return of Roxas, Xion turning good again, and of course the kidnapping of Kairi. Saïx doesn't die yet though. With the return of Roxas and the betrayal of Xion, the organization decides that they retreat for the time being and reformulate their strategy. Sora wants to keep on fighting, but Riku tries to talk him out of it. Nothing can change his mind though, until Ventus and Aqua talk to Sora. Their friend is under control of Xehanort, and there would be nothing they wouldn't do to rescue him, but for now they need to get out of here, which they can actually do because Xehanort has not yet found the remaining new 7 hearts. This opens up the path to some more worlds. The search in the Pirates world still is about Davy Jones's heart and how it's locked away in a box, yet he's still living. Something Xehanort wants to do, because he can't take control over Kairi because of her pure light. But if he could take out a heart, then he could use her as a vessel. This world is also where I would have Peter Maleficent show up for the first and only time to look for the box, and then of course in the epilogue too. Just one appearance is enough. Having them return in almost every world doesn't add anything to the story or their search. Then in San Francisco, the organization isn't trying to create a heart, but seeing if they can corrupt a pure heart, because of course they would want to do that to Kairi. Which leaves us with just Arendelle. So far we have seen Rapunzel and Kairi as the new princesses of hearts. This is the world where we actually see the organization finding Anna and Elsa. I wouldn't change much about this world. I might cut out the songs that are forced into the world because Disney and Square Enix just like money. Other than that though, I think this world is more or less just fine. The world will end, however, with Elsa and Anna being taken by the organization, which prompts us for the actual final battle, and we hurry back to the Keyblade Graveyard. With Xion now on our side, I think either Vexen or Damix would have to be one of the Darknesses. Of course, I personally would make it Kairi, and Sora would be the one to take her out, meaning that she still does disappear, but also gives Sora way more reason to go out looking for her. From here the story goes in much the same way, all the way up until the final battle with Xehanort wielding the Keyblade. When he kills Sora, this is where I would place the final world section, and only the part where Sora puts himself back together, not searching for his friends. Oh, and I would definitely cast a different voice actor for Master Xehanort in English. I know Lenonii sadly died, so he can't really do it, but this actor is just kinda really bad. And that ends the story of the Xehanort saga with improved pacing, plot points, and I think generally it would just be a more enjoyable story. If you want me to do this for any other game, leave a comment down below. I had an absolute blast doing this, trying to have things still make sense, but also improve greatly on what's already there. Until the next time though, bye.